Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hello, and a good morning at you. It be the 20th of September, 2024, the day after the first night of the 2024 Democratic Convention in Chicago, where all went well, if not very, very late. And that brings us to the fact that it's a Tuesday, and so that means my sister Susan is joining us. Hi, Suze.
Sleeping. I don't think I fell asleep until like 5 o'clock.
Did you watch the whole thing?
The whole thing. I fell asleep for a second, woke up I missed Ashley. Too bad.
Oh yeah, too bad.
I heard
Yeah, that was.
Well, I'm sure I can find her someplace.
That was a tearjerker. It was lovely. She told us such a story about. This is his daughter who introduced Biden. She told a story of her mother. It was her birthday, Ashley's birthday, and her dad was in Washington because something was running late. And anyway, her mom didn't tell her exactly what was happening, but she bundled her and the two boys in the car, and they drove down to the train station and went up the escalator to get to the platform, and lo and behold, the train comes in. Her dad gets off. She runs toward him and he to her, and they hug, and he says, happy birthday. I love you so much. But I can't blow out I don't know. I can't remember exactly. I think maybe a cake showed up from Jill. They blew out a candle. And he then crossed over to the next other part of the platform and went back to Washington. Isn't that? I mean, I started crying.
I cried all night. There more than one speaker had me in tears.
Yeah.
And which I was trying to figure out, was it just relief? Was it actual, it was, a lot of it was just being moved. Or Warnock, man, I'd go to church every Sunday. Oh, man.
Whoa. Yeah, there was some great speakers. And yes, Warnock to be sure. But yeah.
There weren't any bad ones, honestly.
Well, I didn't hear any bad ones either. And even Joe,
the coach from the U.S.
for Golden State.
Yeah, he was. Excuse the word, sister. He was spectacular.
I will excuse it because it's correct.
It's true.
Whoa, he should run for office. My God,
you bet.
He was incredible.
Well, he was displaying a lot of what Walls displays. The coach wisdom, being able to talk to people so they can hear you and get your message wisdom.
Yeah. He was wonderful. I mean, they were. Wow. I mean, the reason I think it makes you feel so good is to see all that talent and then to feel
all the depth of our bench.
Whoa.
I mean, one after another, brilliant, motivated, doing things for the right reasons. People came up there, and I was just, I was thrilled. I don't remember being this excited by each speech at a convention ever.
I had been with friends at a dinner before, and one was very itchy to get home because, she said the convention's starting, and I said, listen, they go on.
You got hours.
And the first speeches are nothing to listen to, and blah, blah, blah. And she said, well, Biden,
that was the union stuff.
Yeah,
and except for the second woman her speech was fine, but there was something, I hate to sound like our mother, there was something wrong with her
voice. We're not
It
as
just would.
used, women or men are not as used to hearing women's voices.
Women's voices. It
It's
wasn't
true.
that. It was that the force necessary to project her voice was was making her screech in a way that she couldn't help,
Yeah.
and it sort of hurt. And I was thinking, oh, honey, I'm sorry. You're saying all the right things. Just try not to yell so loud. It'll go over better.
Well, the
You
thing
know,
is
it
those
was.
early speakers, the people on the floor aren't listening to them. They're all
No, no.
talking and milling around, and so it's very daunting if you're a speaker to compete with the din that's coming at you from the floor, and to realize that nobody on the floor is hearing a word you say, so you're not getting that energy back from the crowd that happens
Well,
later.
to hear Lawrence O'Donnell tell it, nobody can hear anything when you're actually on the floor of the convention, even the big speeches. You can't hear them.
Well, I think the big
He
speeches you
said
can because people are quiet. I think,
maybe, but
yeah,
he said
because
it's
people are
very
quiet, but
difficult to hear a
otherwise they're
lot of
not.
what's going on. Yeah,
No, the best seat in the house is at home. There's
is at home.
no doubt about that. Um, but yeah, it was impressive. The only complaint I have is when I saw the list of who was speaking, and the list went on for pages. I actually wrote it down. I thought,
Yeah, how could they have expected to get Biden
yeah, there's no
on
way.
time?
And that's what I told my friend. I said, he ain't getting on at 10. And good God, it was almost midnight my time,
It was
right?
almost midnight. I mean,
Yeah,
your time.
yeah,
I was going. Oh, come on! I
yeah,
want to hear him.
yeah.
Real.
And and that in a way was not good, because unless it
It was
was,
disrespectful.
yeah, it was supposed to be his night, and he didn't. You know who else got absolutely bumped because they were running so late? Uh, James Taylor.
Oh, he was missing, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
supposed to provide some entertainment, and they said, sorry. And so here's hoping he comes back tonight. But that says something about the planning was not great. Too heavy with speakers that really didn't need to be there, and and to keep it, on track, because they lost a whole bunch of the audience certainly in the Eastern time zone, and I would suspect in the Central as well. So
Yeah, it was
it's the folks
it
in
was late. I was falling asleep.
yeah, Mountain and Pacific Americans got the full benefit of probably the best speakers. Anyway, I thought it was really pretty wonderful. I mean, the sense of getting behind Kamala was just so wondrous. Everyone from Hillary Clinton saying the right things, which I
Hmm.
she was very, very good. Well, as you said, there wasn't a bad speaker. The people, the regular folks, the people who had suffered because of the loss of Roe
The
v.
abortion
Wade,
testifiers
man,
were
whoa,
ex- extraordinarily powerful,
yeah, you can't get more powerful than that.
including the man that said this is not just a
A
woman's
woman's
issue.
issue, yeah, yeah, obviously, and yeah, it was just really, really, really good. Um,
Yeah, and let me say, the city is putting on a show. It is a beautiful blue sky with a little breeze and 70 degrees here today. The whole time they're here, it's like improbably good weather.
Perfect weather. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The cooler temperatures are so welcome, at least for some of us. Um, so I loved it. I also loved imagining Trump watching it, and I don't think he could help himself, because I think he does
Oh no,
What?
that was part of me too, thinking, wow, I mean, the cute young congresswoman from Texas,
Crockett.
uh,
Crockett.
Crockett, she had such a good line about Harris chooses to be a prosecutor, and Trump becomes a felon, and he, with 34 felonies, 2 impeachments, and a porn star to prove it.
Yeah. Well, he is. I
I mean,
mean, it's so easy. It's so
it's
easy.
easy, but it needs to be constantly said.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not who you elect for president. Come on.
No.
No one put this in the Constitution because nobody thought people would be stupid enough to nominate somebody like him.
Yeah.
And having done so, you're supposed to, as she said, compare the resumes, for heaven's sakes.
I think I saw an ad during it, or maybe it was a presentation. I just saw part of it where a father, I think, is with his son. Maybe they're in a boat, like fishing. I don't know. But it's a quiet moment, father and son. And somehow, the part I heard, the father is saying, that you don't, when you lose, you admit that you lost. You are, that's it. You lose, and you do that graciously, and you don't lie and say you in fact had won. And the son says, but isn't that what Donald Trump did? And it's like, again,
Yeah.
trying to using that thing of how do we teach our children when that man is the leader and is supposedly a role model. So, in that regard, Trump is the gift that just keeps on giving, I must say.
Yeah.
And then you have this continuing flow. I hope it becomes a tsunami of Republicans, including like the most conservative of conservatives, federal judge Ludig, which is not really surprising given what he has said in the past, coming out yesterday and endorsing Kamala Harris, saying he will vote for her because even though he doesn't agree with her policies, but this is an election that is bigger than that. So you get
Right.
a lot more people.
You get a lot of people doing the right thing and telling you that what the right thing is and that they're going to do it.
Yeah.
From the president on down.
Yeah. So thank God for that.
And, and to be honest, listening to him last night, I was grateful that this was, the speech he was giving was passing the torch to Kamala, because otherwise that was his acceptance speech and we would all be trying to pretend like he could live through this.
Exactly. And I mean, he showed up, he had energy. Another thing is, I was thinking, I'm an old person, I'm not as old as he. To ask an old person to wait until midnight,
I would have
it was 3 hours past his bedtime. And I mean, that was outrageous. The fact that he did it, that he was energetic in his delivery and, did a fine job for a guy who is not a natural orator. What he is a naturally honorable man.
He's a good man.
He's
right.
A good man.
There is such a thing as a good man, and it shouldn't be so hard to find. No. And I'm glad that there was just a parade of them last night. Good men, good women, all shapes and sizes. It was just very nice to see.
One of the things I noticed is Tim Walz. Boy, is he was in tears through most of it.
I'm sure he was.
Every time they took a picture of him, he was either in tears or his mouth was set in the downward grim, like, "We gotta do." It was like he was so emotional. Yeah.
And then got such a kick out of the surprise Harris appearance.
Yeah.
And did you see everybody's having a heart attack about the fact that she wore a tan suit?
No, silly. Are you kidding? I mean, that's
no, there's a whole article
no,
on it.
that's just social media bullshit, right?
Well, they've managed to turn it into a brilliant, quiet little strategic alignment with Obama and diss at exactly that sort of crap.
Okay, because it's, I can't pay attention anymore to the bull. Just can't. Keep your eye on the prize. Ellen writes, did you see where the Pennsylvania delegation was seated?
No, yeah, they have everything
sure.
but, like their own private washroom at the end of the aisle.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. I mean, that we know
Wisconsin's up there on the other side too.
Wisconsin,
they're all up
all
there.
those swing states have the prime real estate on the floor, as because those are the delegates that gotta get back home and really, really do the work. All of us do, and I loved when Biden said to Harris, I will be your biggest volunteer. And what he was saying is this is what we all have to do. Even the president of the United States is going to be a volunteer in this election. And whatever it is you've ever done in an election, you got to do it again and more.
Well, they were all saying that last night.
Yep. Woo.
And honestly, if we can take this enthusiasm and this relief at being given permission to feel proud of our country again, that we aren't this shithole nation, that we aren't, losers trying to redeem ourselves from some MAGA hell. We remember the promise that is the thing that we all grew up with, that we hold so dear, that we were mourning the loss of, and now we see
Reclaim
it can be back.
Well, we're reclaiming it.
All we have to do is hold our flags, chant USA,
right.
regain, take back.
Take back our flag.
Everything they took.
Take back the
everything,
idea,
including the fact that I'm a Democrat in our party, and sometimes when we get together, we're the Democratic Party. That's okay. That's what we called ourselves. They took it away from us.
No,
take it back.
No, I take it back. We'll take it all back. The idea of what a patriot is, for God's sake. The idea that America would elect a man with such disregard for the people who serve in our military. I mean, everything the Republicans purport to be is a obvious lie. And Trump, again, the gift that keeps on giving, makes it very clear what a lie it is.
No, the only thing I think is true is that Republicans forever have stood for law and order, and it's just been clarified in a way that is actually more true and emblematic. They are the party of law and order. For everybody else, they get to do what they want.
Well, that being said, you will note that the Republicans were busy yesterday releasing the report of why they intend to impeach President Biden. I mean, it's so laughable. They're nothing other than bad performance artists.
Well, they got to get, they can't keep running the same show.
Well, they are.
Well, they are running the same show, but they still haven't written an ending that works for them.
Well, because they can't even get to the ending. The fact is, so the House actually put out a report yesterday saying that President Biden's conduct has been so egregious that he should be impeached for abuse of power. and obstruction. What the report doesn't have is any evidence, any supporting
Yeah,
their
in what
contention.
way? Clarify.
They have no evidence whatsoever. There's no law enforcement agency that has accused the Bidens of anything. If they say that what they're charging him with is that his son, and he helped his son try to get rich off of his position. Excuse me? Does anyone remember someone named Jared Kushner? Jared Kushner, who's even still getting millions upon millions upon millions of dollars.
Well, and Eric and Donnie Jr. would have done it too. They're just too stupid.
Well, I'm sure they've gotten stuff.
Oh, they've gotten it. I mean, of course they have. Because people just stuffed it in their pockets. They didn't have to do anything for it.
And and here again, what this report, this also shows that they do nothing but try to please der Fuhrer. This is something Trump wanted. They impeached me twice, so they've got to now impeach Biden. They have to
try
do
to,
it.
but
yeah, they have to, but they can't. Of course, they don't even have all the Republican vote. They don't have the votes. This thing won't even get out of the House.
Any smart Republican who is also facing an election is at this point trying to save themselves. They are suddenly where the Democratic down ticket people found themselves, which is holding on to coattails that weren't attached to anything. And that's what's happening to them now. So anybody in their right mind that actually, is motivated by self-interest will start to move away.
Well, the Republicans have a problem because they've created this intimidation machine and this thugocracy that actually has enough crazies that might act. So they've created a monster. It's the Frankenstein story. They're scared.
Right. Of themselves.
They're scared of their own voters. Yeah. And I suspect more scared of their voters than we are. Who are...
See, it turns out that our little village is a nicer place to be than their little village.
Oh, God almighty. Hey, speaking of little villages. Speaking of little villages.
What?
I don't know which.
Yes.
I don't know. I know if it qualifies as a village. I suspect not. But there's a town in Michigan called Howell, Howell. And I've never heard of it, so I'm assuming it's not a big. I know it's not a big city, but it turns out that Donald Trump is heading there, intending to go to, let me get the wording right, a crime and safety rally. This is happening.
In rural Michigan.
Well, Howell, if anybody can find it. It says here it's for next Tuesday, but this was written on the 17th, so that could mean today. I haven't
today. Yeah,
I think. But here's the thing: Howell, Michigan, is a town that for decades, and people in Michigan know it, has been heavily associated with the Ku Klux Klan. In fact, just last month, white supremacists marched in the town chanting, "We love Hitler, we love Trump." I guess hearing that, he decided, I want to go talk to those nice people.
Yeah, I'm going to go there.
Yeah. Oh, Laura lives in Michigan, and she just lets us know that Howell is a bit northwest of where she is. It's in Livingston County, and she says it was a supposed Ku Klux Klan place. Laura, it was more than supposed. The longtime Grand Dragon of the Klan lived there, and his farm there was sort of a home base for it. It figures heavily in a documentary that was made in 1991 called Blood in the Face. And it is about the KKK there. So this is where Donald Trump is going to talk to his people. Howell, Michigan. So, I mean, dog whistling is out and just blatant, flagrant attempts to get the racist and anti-Semite and hater vote is just full steam right now. So,
well, you got to go with what you got, and what he's got are haters.
Well, yeah, and what he's
that carry guns.
Well, but that is, that is a reasonable cohort for a man who hates so much. Is nothing but this, bulbous, fleshy compilation of grievance and bitterness and hate. Unbelievable. Laura says
this isn't even open. Do you know this isn't even an open event? The event is only for media and invited guests.
The Howell one?
Yeah.
Well, Laura also says Howell for years had no black people. And she says it's not a place to be. Necessarily. No one in their right mind would want to be in Howell. But Donald Trump's going today. Now let's see if he gets covered and media make clear why Donald Trump is in this little Michigan town, given all the places he could be. Some other things I have. I'm just trying to keep it a little organized here. Someone wrote a great piece about one of the things that Republicans do well. So let's, come on now, guys. Let's give credit where credit is due.
They do divide us quite nicely.
They divide us very well. Though I guess this is in the Washington Post. Catherine Rampell reporting. And it's about how Republicans, especially those now who are running, which would be all the House Republican members and many senators and obviously Donald Trump, are out there bragging about certain things that they brought back to their districts, right? That's what people in Congress invariably point to. But almost to a man and woman, what these Republicans are bragging about are things they voted against.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine the
No, they all voted no for all these infrastructure things, and then they go and brag about them.
They're bragging about them. Do you think that they're, it's just one after another.
Yeah. No, they are honestly saying, look what I did for you over my dead body.
And as President Biden pointed out last night, with his Infrastructure Act, most of the funds went to red states. He pointed that out. So you got Steve Scalise down there talking about how the wind energy investment in Louisiana was, because of him. It wasn't. He voted against it. It was because of Joe Biden. Nancy Mace in South Carolina is taking credit for an electric vehicle plant. Now, stop and think about this. This is wind power, electric vehicles. I mean, these are not things Republicans normally brag about, but they've created jobs in their districts. Even Marjorie Taylor Effin Greene has been cheering a solar manufacturing project in her district. So these folks have no shame. Vance the other day took credit for a something called the Chips and Science Act. He wasn't even in the Senate when it was enacted. Dear God in heaven. They are the most shameless bunch you could ever put in one. I mean, grifters, liars, cowards. Not a single
and they think all
Republican.
they have to do is say, no, I'm not, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, well,
all
that
evidence
takes
to
courage.
the side.
That takes courage. Not a single Republican voted for Biden's temporary expansion of the tax credit, which cut child poverty in half. And this is the party that likes to put itself forward as the party that cares about families. Unbelievable. Truly. So one good, Vance talks about walls and stolen valor. Man, when it comes to stealing credit or money or anything, my God.
Or the honorable deeds of others.
Yeah, you cannot hold a candle to the Republicans. Beth writes, I'm not a fan of the conventions. Oh boy, either am I, but I had to watch last night. Me too. I think it was one of the best speeches I ever heard Hillary give. I agree. This was the Hillary we craved for in 2016. And Raphael Warnock brought the house down. As an agnostic, it makes me wish I had gone to hear one of his sermons when I was living in Atlanta. I thought, and now she's put, these were the three best lines of last night. Okay, well, good for you, Beth, for putting this down for us. This first is from Representative Jasmine Crockett. America, looking at the two choices before you, would you hire Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris has a resume. Donald Trump has a rap sheet. She presides over the Senate, while he keeps our national secrets next to his thinking chair.
She started laughing. She said, I cleaned that up from the first time I used it. She's just so relaxed and cute. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, she has great wit, too. And here's something Beth culled from Raphael Warnock's stem winder. This is him talking about, about Trump. I saw him holding the Bible and endorsing the Bible as if it needed his endorsement. He should try reading it. And then he went off on all of these quotations from the Bible, which talked about, welcoming the stranger, doing right by people, everything he's not. Yeah, right. He should try reading it. And then a line from Hillary's speech, coming from Beth. Donald Trump fell asleep at his own trial. And when he woke up, he made his own kind of history. The first person to run for president with 34 felony convictions. Oh. Uh-oh, here's a negative.
Well, he's the first president who likes his own mugshot so much that he uses it on posters.
Well, and people proudly wear it. Hey, I saw a great, I'm not much of a t-shirt wearer, but I'm going to order this one. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, because when I mentioned it to the folks at dinner last night, they all said, well, yeah. And in fact, one of them already had it. It's for all those who have trouble pronouncing her name.
Oh, the Kamala?
Yeah. A big comma.
Yeah, it's a good t-shirt.
And then L-A, Kamala.
Well, it's for all of us, either with intense Midwest accents. There are people that they're trying to say Kamala.
I know, that's what
it just comes out Kamala.
I know it does. I sometimes still fault Kamala.
It really is the intensity of trying to overrun our Midwest accent.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm working on it, and the Kamala really helps.
Comma, because you think comma. Once you see the comma, you're home clear. Kamala.
Yeah, well, and it also tells you which accent, where to put
Kamala.
the accent.
Yeah, not Kamala, Kamala. Chuck has a more negative impression last night. I didn't come away, he says, from day one of the DNC feeling as positively as apparently you and Susan did. First, the swing states are mostly in the Eastern and Central time zones, and the good stuff was on way too late. Well, yeah. Hey, that was a big mistake. I agree with you. The good stuff was AOC, Hillary, and Ashley Biden. I could do without the entertainment. Joe Biden was adequate at best. He struggled and he was over-rehearsed, and it was clear that he would not have been able to execute a strong campaign for himself. Walz has resting grumpy face. Well, it is. His resting face, the corners of his mouth are turned totally down. And what I think, I'm not so sure that was his resting face.
No, Lynn thinks he was trying not to cry all night.
Or it was a kind of determined face, like when he was listening to people saying, we gotta, and this, that, and they did. I mean, it's his sort of like fighter face is what I took it as. But yeah, it's not a pleasant looking face when he does that. It's not.
Yeah, but can we, I don't like doing it to Tim any more than I like doing it to women,
Yeah.
Yes, he and Kamala are the same age. Yes, he looks older. As a friend of mine said to me, he just looks exactly the way 60 used to look.
Yeah.
It's like the rest of us aren't allowed to look that way. That's all. He looks perfectly normal. And I have a scary resting face. Let's just let people be who they are. I'm tired of that. I think.
Well, but Susan, what you're not
nasty about him, he seems like such a nice guy. I don't even get it.
I hear you.
I hear look for things.
So I hear you, but people are people, and we all do this, whether you're sick of it or not. We judge people. We react to people's appearance. We do. I do. I try to. Rein it in. Now that we're aware of things like body shaming. I mean, I felt when I was driving to the dinner last night, I saw a guy cross the street in front of my car who was the thinnest human being I think I've ever seen. And I couldn't take my eyes off him as he crossed. And I thought, I said to the dog, God, look at how skinny that guy is. And then this voice in my head said, not important, body shaming, but it's we do react to others.
Well, we notice, yeah.
Yeah. and others do. So I don't know. Whatever. Chuck also says he's looking forward to Stephanie Grisham speaking tonight. She's the former Trump official who resigned immediately after the January 6th attack. And okay, so there's that. Laura writes back from near Howell. Yeah, oh God, it should be interesting today. I can't imagine the Howell police or Michigan State Police would want to spend the dollars needed for protecting that supposed human. Well, yeah, they gotta.
Yeah, they don't have it. Well, he owes money to all of these states where, and I think Green Bay is one of the cities that has sued them. They want their money.
Nobody gets the money. So one of the speakers mentioned, I think one of the labor people mentioned that. He screws workers all the time. He screws the police who guard him. He screws workers who do his work. He screws everybody. He might be like the worst human ever. He likes to be number one. We'll give him that. God almighty. Okay, and
you said that, and all I could think of was the golden shower. I mean, this man has brought more stuff into our memory banks that don't belong there.
Yeah, the vilest. Susan from Hempfield says, yes. Tim Walz's resting face reminded me of Ed Asner.
Yeah.
A little, and he had a grumpy looking face.
He had a try, and he made a fortune off of it, and we loved him for it.
And the thing is, we know Walz is not grumpy.
No.
But he and his wife were crying through the whole thing last night. God.
But so was I. I mean, that was my reaction to a ton of that. It was honestly moving. I was improbably involved in each and every speech. That simply doesn't happen.
Yeah, I hear you. I know. We got a caller here. Let's get him in. Hello there.
Hi, Lynn. I was calling because I saw this poster that you're going on a show at the old Parkway Theater with Bethany Hallam on September 7th. I just wanted to say, I'm so happy about this. The fact that a Jewish woman like yourself is willing to show this kind of unity with a pro-Hamas protester like Bethany Hallam goes a long way, I feel like, for our healing city. Bethany does so much for the jail and the inmates and the homeless. I think she gets a bad rap just because she protests Israel.
Hey, can I interrupt here? Can I interrupt here?
Yes.
You are so off the mark.
I was hoping this wasn't going to happen.
I agreed to do this thing that John McIntyre is putting together, and he will be on the show, I think, next week. It's a
I think you're showing you're a better person by bringing two different people's views together.
Listen, it's a storytelling event. I'm going to tell a story. The assignment was to when crazy comes, and so we're all telling stories from our lives so that when things got crazy. I got a million to choose from, but I'll tell mine. Kerry Mosley, who is a member of City Council, my person, he will tell one. And when I agreed to do this, Bethany Hallam was not on the ticket. Another woman was, who I didn't know.
I thought you were doing it because I think you're just showing, you're a bigger person.
No, I didn't know. I didn't even know she was on it. And so when I saw this poster originally did not have Hallam on. It had the other woman whose name I can't remember. And then I saw it just a few days
I love
ago,
Bethany, yeah.
and there was Bethany. And I thought, oh, shit, is what I thought. So much
I mean,
for what
after
you
I
think.
saw it, because, Bethany signed that petition to stop doing business with Israel,
I know.
and everyone was so critical of her, but it got thrown out. So, what's the big deal? She does so much for the jail and the homeless.
Listen,
and she's always on Marty.
like her work for the jail. Look, we don't always agree, but her stuff with Israel, and I have some friends who, this is a fraught time for Jews, let me tell you. And I will not be happy having to make conversation with Bethany that night. I mean, I could certainly, I will tell her how I feel about this stupid referendum they tried to get on the ballot. Susan, they tried to get on a referendum on our ballot in November that would prevent any entity, including the city, of doing business with Israel in any way.
You're definitely going a long way by doing this.
Going a long way to what? I'm going there to tell my funny story, and then I'm going home. I'm not making a statement.
She's not aligning in any way with
the other. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. This is not about politics. Bethany Hallam did a stint in prison herself. It's why she is so into prison reform. She's a former felon. And I've often thought that her story
got thrown out. So what's the big deal?
Well, the big deal is they'll bring it back, and it's been thrown out because they played fast and loose with the petition. The signatures were not valid, so it was a scam petition. They couldn't get enough real signatures, and that what they're asking for would not help in any way. A single.
Yeah, they didn't even get the right.
Wait, a single Palestinian.
No.
How will that help any poor soul in Gaza? I would like to know. The only thing that petition will do is isolate the Jewish community in Pittsburgh. It will take tax-exempt status away from our synagogues and our service organizations.
It's pure anti-Semitism.
It's pure anti-Semitism, and it will harm Jews. It will punish Jews and not in any way help a single suffering Palestinian. It is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I didn't see why everybody got so worked up.
Okay, well, you got me worked up.
Yeah, I think it means different things to a Jewish person when they hear those things. You see a political statement. Yeah,
it
got thrown out. So yeah.
Yeah, well,
but it's does the fact that it doesn't give them permission to make these open anti-Semitic actions, to take these things, because they get thrown out. That doesn't mean that they aren't wrong and mean-spirited and awful.
Yeah, I guess that's just why when I saw all this and I knew all this was going on, I just, I was surprised, but I also was very enthusiastic to see that you were going, you were going to go on.
I do understand what you're saying.
I understand it too, but what's funny is you made a whole bunch of assumptions that are not true. I agreed to this.
I just thought you must like her if you're going on the show.
No, I didn't know she
was thinking that you were nicer than you are, Lynn. So just say thank you.
Oh, thank you. No, if I had known she was on on it, I would have said no. In fact.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry not to be the wondrous person you took me for.
Maybe you should. I mean, but maybe if that's how you feel, maybe you should cancel.
No, I'm not going to do that to John. It has nothing to. I mean, the evening is not about. Is not about politics. It's about.
She'll go and do her
It's
thing
about
and
three.
leave.
It's
It's fine.
three local public figures telling, I'm assuming, funny stories. I don't know about hers. I know.
And who's John? And who's John?
John McIntyre is a clever, funny, outrageous talk show host for years, TV and radio.
Oh, I do. I have seen his things.
Yeah,
I
he's
did
funny.
just see something about him.
Yes.
Talking about how Bethany ate 9 hot dogs and drank 9 beers. I did see that clip.
He's drawn to characters, and she qualifies.
Yeah, he loves Bethany.
I
John
qualify.
loves Bethany.
Kerry Mosley, the city councilman, is going to be talking. He's got a great story, Susan. He was married to a woman in city government. Why am I blanking? Wagner, Chelsea Wagner. They're a mixed racial marriage, and they had gone to Detroit, I think, for some event. He was trying to get back to his hotel room. He'd forgotten his key. He ends up being arrested in the hotel lobby. It gets physical, ugly. I think he was jailed. It was a big story. I mean, here's a big political local couple involved and he went to trial, and I think he's telling his story. I guess
okay.
It's sort of funny.
I know John loves Bethany, and I think it's the fact that she's pro-Hamas. I mean,
well, you don't know why. Again, you're making
suggestions.
He loved Bethany before this Gaza Hamas shit ever hit the fan. There's a lot to admire of the work she did.
They're buddies.
But she lost me. I
buddies.
was an admirer of hers. She lost me. This is what happens.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know they're buddies. They like to drink together, so.
Okay.
I've seen them together at a bar.
All right. Well, fine. John's coming on, I think, next week. You can call in and ask him. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Jesus. H.
I need a Valium.
What the
hell
was that?
Okay.
You were?
Yeah.
Why?
No,
I don't want to. Believe me, I was upset when I saw that.
I know. Well, here's what is interesting, though, about this call is it is instructive in how a set of facts, unadorned, can be interpreted by different people in so many different ways, depending on what you bring from your own personal experience to those facts. So the caller had a whole backstory to what went on.
Yeah.
None of which, as it turned out, was true. But she had absolute reason in her own mind for believing that all of that should be true, including thinking well of you.
That I had specifically gone there to make some kind of a display of embracing somebody who wants to see Israel wiped off the map. I don't think so.
Well, you set her straight, I will say that.
Well, so guys, if you want to come to this thing, I'll give you the date, set the date. It's in a very small little venue, and it does cost $20, I want you to know. And whatever. And that you can drink there, which might be a good idea. I personally am not drinking at the moment. Maybe that'll be it's McIntyre's coming on the show next August 29th. And the event is at 8 p.m. at the Parkway Theater in McKees Rocks at 8 o'clock. I don't know if I said that. And it's whatever.
Boy, 8 o'clock. It's starting at 8 o'clock. That's your bedtime.
Well, heck, if Joe can put it together to go on at midnight, I can.
You'll have to find a reserve of performance energy.
It'll be so. It's September 7th. Did I say that? I feel like I didn't say that. September 7th. That's a Saturday night. I can stay up later on a Saturday night. I'm going to tell my story of how I became an anchor woman, and it's easy, funny, whatever, and involves lifting my skirt. I don't even have a skirt.
That's how I got my first law school job.
Well, there you go. That's all you. Well, that's the lesson.
I didn't lift my skirt. I did put a provocative. It had a button down slit, and I could make it as high or as low as I wanted. And I did unbutton it one more.
Oh, honest.
Boy, did I get that job.
Well, you don't know it. Again, you don't know it. That's why you got
no, it turns out, I know Manny Organak now that I worked with him for several years. I'm sure that had something to do with it.
Okay.
But my rule was, if you are stupid enough to fall for something like that, it's your problem.
Okay. Jonathan, I wondered about this, but then thought not. Jonathan writes, I think the caller is being sarcastic and trying to goad you. Totally insincere. No. She asks, who's John? And then says he's buddies with Hallam, supposedly because of Gaza. Saw them drinking together. It could be. I wondered the same. I wondered if it was the woman who seems to, really be fixated on Hallam and a few of the other, who else? Sarah Inam, a few of the lefty squad type people in public office here, who I'm, I don't take them as a crowd. I deal with them individually. Jonathan, you might be right. I don't know. God damn. Okay, something funny. First of all, the blue moon. It was too cloudy here last night. Were you able to see the blue moon, Susan, last night?
No, well, I don't think so. I didn't. I was watching TV.
Okay, but listen, tonight, even if you're watching TV, you can run up to your roof and check out what is apparently the biggest moon you're ever going to see. I guess the next one that's going to be this big comes in 2037. It's a blue moon. It's a super moon. And it'll be there tonight, too. I'm hoping I'll be able to see it tonight.
Yeah, these moons hang around for a while because they've got to go through the full.
I know. But the last time there was a blue moon, I happened to see it when it was low in the sky, and it blew me away. It looked like it took up half the sky. It was just sitting on the horizon, about to go up, and I'm hoping I'm going to see it again today.
I was in Green Bay in front of our house, and I was out walking my then still alive dog, and the moon was perfectly lined up with the street as I came up the street, and it filled the whole street.
Yeah. Well, here's something I saw on social media, which made me laugh because been there, done that. And this is for speaking of dogs. Anyone who's ever had one, you will appreciate it too, I suspect, especially if you sleep with them like I do. It's a post from some guy who says, "Good morning to anyone who woke up early and had to pee, but held it for an incredibly long time because if they got up, their dogs would. Oh, yes. Oh, have I been there? I have been there. Die
Well,
of
that
discomfort. I will not. I'm not getting up. I'm not getting up because then, but.
or if they're lying on your lap and you have to, you have to get up and you won't just because they're sleeping and they feel so nice.
Yeah. Well, there's that. Okay, well, that brings us to 11 o'clock or 10 your time, Suze.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, well, go do whatever you're going to do. And
I don't think I'm going to do a damn thing.
Okay, wonderful. Enjoy it. Enjoy.
It's been a while.
Okay, and the rest of you, enjoy whatever it is you're going to do. And I'm going to go work out. Okay?
Cool. I did that yesterday. That's one of the reasons I'm not doing a damn thing.
All right, well, bye.
Oh, yeah, my son put a chin-up bar in for me. That should explain everything.
Oh, dear God in heaven. Bye. Yike.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.